You know, when I look back at my life, one thing has always been constant. Dreams that were way bigger than me, dreams that scared me, that made people laugh, that sometimes even made me doubt myself. But here's the truth. If your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. I come from a place where nothing was handed to me on a silver platter. No shortcuts, no guarantees. But what I had was a vision, a stubborn belief that I could create a life larger than my circumstances. And that's where work comes in. See, dreaming is the easy part. We all dream, but waking up every single day and working relentlessly, even when no one's watching, even when doors are slammed in your face, that's what separates success from wishful thinking. There were moments I failed, times I was rejected. People told me, this isn't for you, you can't do this. And maybe for a second I believed them, but then I reminded myself, I am not defined by someone else's limitations. Dreams demand courage, hard work demands discipline, and together they demand patience. Success doesn't show up overnight. It shows up when you refuse to quit, when you show up again and again, even after falling. So if there's one thing I want you to take away today, it's this. Don't shrink your dreams to fit into the world. Expand your work to make the world fit your dreams. Be bold, be fearless, and most importantly, be relentless. Because the world belongs to those who dare to dream big and back it up with unstoppable hard work. When you dream, it should feel like standing at the edge of a cliff, looking down at something so vast and intimidating that your heart races and your palms sweat. That's the kind of dream worth chasing. If your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. A small dream is safe. It doesn't challenge you. It doesn't demand growth. It keeps you in a comfortable box where you never have to stretch, never have to struggle, never have to rise beyond the version of yourself you already know. But when you choose to dream big, when you dare to imagine something so much larger than your circumstances, you start a journey that will transform you from the inside out. A big dream feels impossible in the beginning. It makes you question, who am I to even think this is possible? It makes others doubt you, it makes people laugh, it makes critics roll their eyes. But that fear, that uncertainty, that discomfort, it is the signal that you are onto something extraordinary. Think about it. If a dream feels easy, what will it give you? Maybe a little satisfaction, maybe a little recognition. But will it force you to grow? Will it force you to dig into your deepest strengths and discover new ones you didn't know existed? Probably not. The most powerful dreams are the ones that demand you to build courage you never had before. They demand you to fight battles you didn't prepare for. They demand that you learn skills, make sacrifices, and keep going even when the path is filled with darkness. That is why fear is such an important ingredient. Fear tells you that you are standing in front of something that matters. Fear tells you that you are not playing small. Fear tells you that if you can move forward anyway, you will step into a version of yourself that is unrecognizable compared to the person you are today. When your dream scares you, it means it has the potential to shape your destiny. It means it has the power to give you a life far beyond the ordinary. But many people stop when the fear arrives. They think fear is a sign to quit. They think fear means they are not ready, not capable, not worthy. In truth, fear is the companion of every dreamer who chooses to aim higher than the world expects of them. Fear is not the enemy. Fear is a compass pointing you toward growth. Every time you feel that weight in your chest, that trembling in your hands, that whisper in your mind saying, "This is too much for you," you should smile because it means you are standing at the doorway of greatness. Dreaming big requires imagination, yes, but more than that it requires bravery. The bravery to ignore the voices of doubt, the bravery to risk failure, the bravery to be misunderstood, criticized, even ridiculed. Not everyone will understand your dream, and they don't have to. It's not theirs, it's yours. The world has always tried to convince dreamers to shrink, to tone it down, to settle for less. And yet, history is made only by those who refuse to shrink. Every innovation, every breakthrough, every revolution in art, science, business, or culture happened because someone had a dream that was too big for their time. They felt the fear, they heard the doubts. But they chose to believe that it was possible anyway. A big dream will always push you beyond the life you know. It will ask you to wake up earlier, work harder, stay longer, sacrifice more, and keep going when every cell in your body wants to give up. It will make you face rejection, failure, and disappointment. And yet, it will also give you something priceless. The vision of a life that excites you, that stretches you, that makes your journey meaningful. When you stand in front of something terrifying but beautiful, that's when you know you are living, not just existing. That's when you know you are building something that matters. Never be afraid of a dream that seems impossible. Be afraid of a dream that feels too safe, because safety is comfort, and comfort is the slow death of ambition. Choose the dream that scares you, because that's the one that will lead you to the extraordinary. Success comes from relentless work, not wishful thinking. Too often people imagine success as a stroke of luck, a miracle, or a sudden opportunity that changes everything overnight. They sit and wish for things to happen. They dream about the life they want. They talk endlessly about their goals. But they never back those words with the consistent grind that makes those dreams real. Wishing is easy, working is hard. Wishing feels comfortable because it requires nothing from you, no sacrifice, no sweat, no discipline. But working relentlessly, day after day, when no one is clapping, when no one is cheering, when no spotlight is on you, that is the path that creates real success. Every achievement you admire in others is built on countless invisible hours of labor. Behind every award, every recognition, every moment of glory, there are long nights, early mornings, endless failures, and quiet persistence. The problem is that most people only see the highlight reel, the success story, the final product. They look at someone who has achieved greatness and think, how lucky they are. But luck only visits those who are already sweating for their dream. Luck is attracted to motion, to effort, to determination. The world opens doors for the ones who are already walking toward them with unstoppable consistency. Relentless work means you don't just show up when it feels convenient. It means you build habits that carry you through even when motivation disappears. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline stays. Relentless work means you push through boredom, you push through exhaustion, you push through the days when it feels like nothing is happening. Success is not the result of intensity for a short period, it is the outcome of sustained effort over a long period. Those who keep at it, who refuse to quit, who treat every step as progress, no matter how small, are the ones who eventually stand tall. Wishful thinking is deceptive because it feels like progress. You tell yourself, I want to achieve this, and for a moment you feel inspired, but nothing changes because nothing is done. The mind loves to fantasize, but the body has to move. Without work, wishes remain air, floating ideas that vanish into nothing. Relentless work, on the other hand, anchors your vision into reality. It takes those invisible thoughts and translates them into visible actions. Every time you choose work over excuses, you move closer to your dream. Relentless work is not glamorous. It's not always exciting. In fact, it's often repetitive, exhausting, and lonely. But that's exactly why it produces results. Most people are not willing to stay the course when the journey becomes dull or difficult. They crave instant rewards, quick recognition, immediate success. But the truth is, the extraordinary belongs to the few who are willing to endure the grind long after the excitement fades. Think of an athlete training when no competition is near, an artist practicing when no one is watching, an entrepreneur building when no one believes. That silent dedication is what creates loud victories later. Work that is relentless has a rhythm. It becomes a part of who you are, a natural extension of your identity. You don't ask, should I keep going? You just go. You don't ask, what if it doesn't work? You trust that the act of working is itself the guarantee that something will eventually shift. Even when success feels far away, the work keeps building your strength, your skills, your resilience. And then one day, when the opportunity finally appears, you are ready, not because of a wish, but because of the relentless work you have already done. Wishful thinkers live in the land of someday. They always say, someday I'll start, someday I'll chase that dream, someday I'll put in the effort. But someday never comes for them because they never take the first step, and even if they do, they stop when it becomes uncomfortable. Relentless workers, however, live in the land of today. They show up every single day, no matter how they feel. They understand that success is not built in a single day, but through the accumulation of countless todays. Each day of work is a brick laid, and over time those bricks build the empire of your dreams. Success does not reward wishful thinking because the world doesn't hand out greatness for free. Success rewards those who persist through pain, through failure, through rejection. It rewards those who are willing to do the things others avoid. It rewards the early riser, the late worker, the one who keeps knocking on doors until one finally opens. Relentless work creates momentum, and momentum creates breakthroughs. When you keep pushing long enough, something eventually cracks open. But that crack is not magic, it is the result of consistent pressure applied over time. Relentless work demands patience. You will not see results immediately. Sometimes you will work for months, even years, without visible progress. That's when wishful thinkers quit, saying it's impossible. But relentless workers keep going because they know progress is happening beneath the surface, even if they cannot yet see it. Like a seed growing roots underground, their effort is preparing for a breakthrough moment. And when that moment comes, it looks like success happened overnight. But in reality, it was the accumulation of relentless work hidden from the world. Relentless work is also the greatest teacher. Every failure, every obstacle, every rejection becomes a lesson. Wishful thinkers run away from setbacks, but relentless workers embrace them. They learn, they adapt, they adjust, they keep going. Each mistake sharpens them, each obstacle strengthens them, each failure prepares them. Work without pause creates not just success, but also character. It molds you into someone who can handle the weight of your own dream. You are not defined by someone else's limitations. Too often in life, people will try to put you inside a box. They will look at where you come from, what you look like, how much money you have, what opportunities you were born with, and they will tell you what you can and cannot do. They will project their fears onto you, their doubts onto you, their failures onto you. And if you are not careful, you will start to believe them. You will start to shrink your vision because someone else could not see it. You will start to lower your goals because someone else failed at theirs. But the truth is that their limits are not your limits. What they cannot do does not define what you can achieve. What they gave up on does not decide what you will accomplish. Every time you listen to someone tell you it's not possible for you, you are hearing their story, not yours. Maybe they tried and failed. Maybe they never even tried. Maybe they lack the courage, or the discipline, or the vision, and instead of admitting that, they want to convince you that no one else can succeed either. But your story is different. Your journey is unique. Your strength, your hunger, your resilience, your drive. No one else can measure that for you. Only you can. That is why you must never allow another person's small vision to define the boundaries of your dream. There will always be people who doubt you. They will doubt your abilities, your intelligence, your ambition. Sometimes they will even laugh at you. They will say you are crazy, unrealistic, foolish. They will try to remind you of all the reasons you cannot succeed. They will point to your past, to your failures, to your weaknesses, and use those as evidence against your future. But what they don't understand is that limitations exist only when you accept them. The moment you refuse to let someone else's voice become louder than your own, their power over you disappears. If history has taught us anything, it is that every great achievement was once considered impossible. Every innovator, every leader, every trailblazer was told at some point that they could not do it. If they had listened, the world would have never seen progress. The light bulb would not exist, the airplane would not exist, the internet would not exist. Imagine if those dreamers had let someone else's limitations decide for them. They would have quit before they even began. but they chose to trust themselves more than the doubts around them. They chose to believe that the world's definition of impossible was simply a challenge waiting to be overcome. The most dangerous thing you can do is give your power away by believing that someone else knows your potential better than you do. People see only fragments of you. They see your present circumstances, but not your inner fire. They see your struggles, but not your strength. They see your failures, but not your faith. They don't see the nights you stay awake planning, the mornings you wake up determined, the resilience that keeps you standing when everything is falling apart. Only you know the depth of what you carry inside, and only you can decide how far you will go with it. Sometimes the people closest to you will be the ones who limit you the most. They might love you, but their love is mixed with fear. They don't want to see you hurt. They don't want to see you fail, so they encourage you to stay safe, to play small, to not take risks. But growth does not come from safety, and success does not come from comfort. You have to recognize when advice is really just disguised fear. You can respect their concern, but you cannot let it define your choices. Because at the end of the day, it is your life that you must live, not theirs. And then there will be strangers, critics, people who don't even know you, who will still try to define your worth. They will judge you without understanding your journey. They will put labels on you. They will make assumptions. They will reduce you to stereotypes. But remember that no one has the right to tell you what you can or cannot be. Their opinion does not shape your destiny. What shapes your destiny are the actions you take, the work you put in, and the vision you refuse to let go of. When you start to break free from other people's limitations, something powerful happens. You begin to see possibilities where others see obstacles. You begin to dream bigger because you stop asking for permission. You begin to act bolder because you stop fearing judgment. You begin to walk paths that others never dared to walk, and in doing so, you create new paths for those who come after you. You become an example of what happens when a person chooses self-belief over external doubt. This is why resilience matters so much. Every time someone tells you that you can't, resilience answers, "Watch me." Every time someone closes a door, resilience finds another way. Every time someone doubts your strength, resilience proves them wrong through action. Resilience is the shield that protects your dream from the weapons of other people's limitations. Without it, you might bend to the pressure of their opinions. With it, you rise above and show them that you are not here to be confined. You are here to expand, to evolve, to rewrite what is possible. The world is filled with voices trying to tell you who you are, but the only voice that truly matters is the one inside you. That voice must be louder, stronger, clearer. It must remind you daily that you are not defined by someone else's failures, fears, or beliefs. You are defined by the strength of your effort, the courage of your choices, and the depth of your determination. The moment you accept this truth, you stop living in the shadows of other people's expectations and start walking boldly into the light of your own potential. Dreams demand courage, hard work demands discipline. It takes a special kind of bravery to allow yourself to dream beyond what you can see in front of you. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the willingness to move forward despite the fear. When you dream, especially when you dream big, you are stepping into uncertainty. You are choosing to walk into a future that is unclear, unpredictable, and often intimidating. That choice alone requires courage. Because dreaming is not just about imagining a better life, it is about daring to believe that you can create it. And when the world tells you to be realistic, when people tell you to settle, when circumstances tell you to give up, courage is what makes you say, "I will try anyway." But dreaming alone is not enough. A dream without work remains a fantasy. That is where discipline enters. Hard work demands structure, consistency, and sacrifice. It is easy to dream when you are inspired, when your heart feels light and your mind is buzzing with ideas. But discipline is about what you do when the excitement fades, when the days become heavy, when progress feels invisible. Discipline is the decision to keep showing up, day after day, even when no one is watching, even when no one is applauding. It is about creating habits that sustain your effort long after motivation disappears. Courage is needed at the beginning. Discipline is needed throughout the journey. Courage gives you the strength to take the first step, to declare your vision, to face the voices of doubt. Discipline carries you through the 1,000 steps after that, the days when the path is long and your energy runs low. Courage opens the door. Discipline keeps you walking through it. Courage says, I believe in this dream. Discipline says, I will not stop until this dream is real. Most people admire courage because it looks bold and dramatic. It's the moment someone takes a leap of faith, risks everything, or makes a daring choice. But what many fail to see is that discipline is just as heroic, though it looks ordinary. Waking up early, repeating the same practice over and over, choosing focus over distraction, choosing effort over comfort. These are not glamorous acts, but they are the foundation of every extraordinary achievement. Without discipline, courage fades into regret. Without courage, discipline has no direction. The two must work together, one feeding the other, to bring a dream to life. Every dreamer faces fear, fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of not being enough. Courage does not eliminate that fear. It simply teaches you to move forward in spite of it. It teaches you that fear is not a stop sign. It is a signal that you are doing something that matters. And when you take that step, when you act with courage, something inside you changes. You begin to build confidence. You begin to see that the limits you once believed in are not as strong as you thought. Each act of courage builds the strength for the next, and before long, dreaming big becomes your new normal. Discipline, on the other hand, is not about feelings. It does not care if you are inspired, tired, or discouraged. Discipline is about commitment. It is about saying, I will do what needs to be done regardless of how I feel in this moment. That is what separates those who only dream from those who achieve. The achievers are not always the most talented, not always the most gifted, but they are the most disciplined. They do not wait for the perfect mood, the perfect opportunity, the perfect timing. They act daily, building momentum brick by brick, turning effort into progress, progress into results. Dreams without courage never take off, and hard work without discipline never sustains. The courage to start and the discipline to continue are the twin engines of success. You need the fire of courage to push past doubt, and the steel of discipline to endure the grind. This combination is what turns vision into reality. You cannot control how quickly success will come, but you can control how courageously you begin and how consistently you stay committed. There will be days when your courage feels small, days when rejection breaks your spirit, when failure makes you question everything, when people's criticism makes you shrink. On those days, discipline will hold you steady. Because discipline does not depend on how strong you feel, it depends on the choice you make. And then there will be days when your discipline feels heavy, when repetition makes you bored, when routine feels endless. On those days, courage will remind you why you started. Courage and discipline lean on each other, balancing you when you tilt too far toward fear or fatigue. This balance is what allows ordinary people to do extraordinary things. Think of an artist who dreams of painting something the world has never seen before. Courage gives them the belief that their art matters, that their voice is unique. But without the discipline to practice, to perfect their craft, to keep creating even when no one pays attention, the dream never takes form. Or think of an athlete who dares to believe they can be the best in the world. Courage makes them chase that dream against impossible odds. But it is discipline, the hours of training, the sacrifices, the strict routines, that makes that dream possible. Every great story, whether in art, sports, business, or life, is built on the marriage of courage and discipline. Courage expands your vision. Discipline executes it. Courage makes you declare your dream boldly. Discipline makes you live it quietly, day after day. Courage inspires others. Discipline earns their respect. One gives you the wings to fly, the other gives you the endurance to keep flying through storms. Courage is the spark, discipline is the fuel. You cannot have one without the other if you want your dream to last. Don't shrink your dreams, expand your work to fit them. Too many people cut their dreams down to match their current circumstances, their resources, or the opinions of those around them. They convince themselves to think smaller because thinking big feels overwhelming. They start with a dream that excites them, but as soon as they notice how much effort it will take, how far they have to go, how difficult the road might be, they reduce that dream to something safer, something easier, something that won't demand too much of them. They settle for less not because their dream was impossible, but because they weren't willing to grow into the person who could achieve it. But the truth is that dreams are not supposed to fit the version of you that you are right now. They are supposed to stretch you, to challenge you, to demand more of you. Instead of shrinking the dream, you expand your work until your skills, your effort, and your persistence rise to the size of that vision. Every great accomplishment has required people to rise above who they were yesterday. The dream was bigger than their current capacity, but they chose to expand their capacity instead of lowering their expectations. They chose to learn more, to practice longer, to fail and try again, to put in double the effort, to sacrifice short-term comfort for long-term achievement. That is how mountains are climbed, how records are broken, how boundaries are pushed. The dream does not get smaller, the dreamer gets stronger. When you shrink your dream, you rob yourself of the transformation it was meant to bring you. A big dream is not just about the outcome, it's about the person you become in the process of chasing it. When you push yourself to work harder, to stay consistent, to refuse excuses, you develop qualities you never knew you had: discipline, resilience, creativity, adaptability. These qualities remain with you long after the dream is achieved. That's why shrinking your dream is not only about losing the vision, it's about losing the version of yourself you could have grown into. Expanding your work to fit your dream requires humility, because you must admit that you are not yet ready for what you want. It requires patience, because results may not appear immediately, and it requires relentless effort, because the gap between where you are and where your dream stands can only be closed through consistent action. It's not about asking, how can I make this dream easier? It's about asking, how can I make myself stronger to meet this dream? That shift in mindset is the difference between people who give up and people who break through. Most people live their lives making their dreams convenient. They adjust their goals so they won't have to change too much, sacrifice too much, or risk too much. But the truth is, comfort and greatness cannot coexist. If you want something extraordinary, you must be willing to expand your effort beyond what feels comfortable. You must be willing to put in hours of work when others are sleeping, to keep going when others quit, to learn when others stop, to grow when others settle. Every bit of extra effort adds another layer of strength to you, and slowly you begin to rise up to the level of your dream. When you look at someone who has achieved greatness, it is tempting to believe they had an easier path, more resources, or more luck. But in reality, what they had was a dream that seemed bigger than them, and the courage to expand their work until they matched it. They didn't lower their goals to fit their current ability, they raised their ability to meet their goals. That is why they stand out, that is why their story inspires, that is why they become examples of what is possible when someone refuses to shrink. Expanding your work does not mean perfection from the beginning. It means persistence. It means taking one step, then another, even when the finish line feels miles away. It means failing, learning, and trying again with more determination. It means doing the hard, unglamorous work that no one else sees, because you know it is shaping you into the person who can hold your dream. Every time you choose effort over excuses, discipline over distraction, progress over procrastination, you expand your capacity just a little more. And over time, those little expansions add up to massive growth. Shrinking your dream will always feel easier in the short term, but it will leave you with regret in the long term. You will always wonder what could have been if you had given more, if you had tried harder, if you had refused to settle. Expanding your work is harder in the short term, but it leaves you with pride, growth, and fulfillment in the long term. You will know that whatever the outcome, you gave everything, you grew into the best version of yourself, and you refused to let fear dictate your future. Every time you feel overwhelmed by the size of your dream, remind yourself that it is not a signal to give up. It is an invitation to rise higher. The gap between you and your dream is not a wall meant to stop you. It is a training ground meant to build you. The more you expand your effort, the more that gap shrinks, until one day the dream that once seemed impossible feels like the natural result of all the work you put in.